going on, fam? Welcome back to another episode of Grind to Grow. Today I have the opportunity to catch up with my friend, coach, athlete, awesome human being, Jared from Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to continue this NACJO series and give you the kind of insight behind the scenes of what happens or what's going on in our kettlebell juggling world. Don't forget to subscribe, enjoy the video, leave a comment. Let's do this.
What's
Up, man?
how's it going?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. There's a bunch of people in the building, so there's like background noises and stuff like that. But what's going on, man? How you been?
Good. Pretty good. Pretty good. It's been crazy weather. I don't know if you're getting the same as I am here over in Tennessee or where you are in North Carolina. It's sunny and rainy and sunny and rainy. Can't make up its mind, but try to get outside and do our thing, throw some bells,
Yeah.
Anyhow, and traveling a little bit. That's been pretty good too. But how you been? How have you been enjoying your training since the NACJO?
It's been some up and downs for sure.
Mhm.
Just everything felt great during those 2 days of workshop and then competition. It was like phenomenal. Like, cause I went in with some discomforts and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
from day one till my routines and stuff like that, nothing, no pain. I felt awesome. I was like, okay, maybe I'm fixed. So then I came back and everything kind of came back. So I'm like kind of gauging on how much to train, what to train, weight and stuff like that, and just really try not to get ahead of myself on what I'm doing, or like get too excited, like, oh, I landed something. Let me try again. Like really like pace myself, because I think that's how I got hurt. I was just kind of just going
What'd
unstoppable.
you do?
So it started with my lat. That was my shoulder, but it was my lat that it was not working properly. So then that it ended up pinching a nerve on my left side,
Hmm.
and then started getting some numbing pain on my left arm. And the weird thing is that now that discomfort pain, it jumps from left to right. So it's a very odd,
Mm.
no, it's a very odd thing.
Left shoulder, right shoulder?
Yeah, but it's
Mm.
like, and it's like whenever it jumps, it's not even like a pain. It's like a really weird tightness. Like it gets
Mm.
super tight, and then numbness on the fingers. So and then it goes away, and it comes back, and then it goes away. So some days I'm fine, some days I'm not. I do have to get an MRI. But going into Arizona, I had this. And I told my fiance, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go there. I want to do the workshops, do some learning, have fun, meet everybody. You know, enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, right.
No pain whatsoever. Nothing. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I can do everything, and there's no pain. I was like, okay, let's just ride it out.
Right.
You know. But so do some adjustments right now with the program and what I'm doing to prepare for London.
Yeah,
'Cause,
man.
yeah, I want to throw that 16.
I think there's a few of us that are, I've had a couple weeks ago, I've been trying to get a team of people out here. It's taken some time, but I'm trying to get some guys and girls, whoever, into kettlebell juggling. And I've been basically hosting free practices. I'm just trying to teach people so
Uh,
into the sport. And one of the practices, like, I don't know what I did with my left hand, in particular, my ring finger here, but like, it like swole up and got real fat, and now I've got this kind of like piece of, I don't know if it's scar tissue or what, that's kind of developed in my left hand. But um yeah, and we can talk about this on the podcast too. I don't know, like, when, I suspect we'll have like a formal start, but like, one of the things that I noticed, especially this last time, see, I did the World Games in October back last year.
yeah.
We did the NACJO, and going into the NACJO, I was really focusing hard on classic, like, because I did a classic program in October at the World Games, but I kind of threw it together really quickly. In fact, I didn't even make it. The program was made by Michael Leishishkin Power Bells. I don't even know how to say his name.
Yeah.
And he basically made it for me. It was a very, he called it an intermediate program. That's basically what it was. It was only like not even 16 points total. So it wasn't a lot. It was a good way for me to like start with something. But this time I made my own program and I made it really difficult. And that's what I was wanting to do. But I focused really hard on my right arm. And I also stopped swinging as much Mason clubs. Uh,
Okay.
and I noticed my left shoulder, and I'm gonna eventually do a post on this because I've been working on it really hard. My whole left side, especially my shoulder, really got really weak, and I could just tell because I had like reduced range of motion. My arm was feeling like I even had pain when I was lifting it. It was bad. I was really scared. I was like, I was so strong on both of my shoulders, and I could swing like even like 45-pound clubs and maces single arm. And I like totally lost that. So it was even hard for me to do like 500 swings with the 15-pound mace, which used to be like nothing. So I've been working on that and it's gotten a lot stronger again. I'm feeling way better even in the past month that I've been just really like trying to do a lot more mace so that way I can build it back up. And sure enough, it's getting stronger again. I'm feeling good. So fingers crossed. Here in about another month or so, I'm hoping I can really get back to the point where I can do like 600. I think 650 single arm swings with a 25 is like my record that I've ever done personally there in a row. And for me, that was like a really good barometer. So I don't know if you swing maces or clubs, but they're just super duper amazing for the shoulder and for the lat.
Really bad. I'm terrible at it. And I was actually like thinking, okay, I need to get, because we talked about getting a coach to everybody and tell like you got to get a coach if you want to see that progress, do it right. Somebody that will teach you how to, to break down this particular movement, this particular skill. Get a coach. And I was, going through your page, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to get
Really?
a coach because you know, the basics I can kind of do it, but it's still not very good. And I'm kind of there's a little bit of fear of like, am I gonna do something wrong that is gonna make this worse? Like, cause I used to be able to do all kinds of stuff with my shoulders. I did gymnastics a little bit too. And now there is that fear of like, if I try something new or if I do this, um, call them extreme range of motion, because that's kind of what it looks like with the mace and the clubs, right?
Right.
But I've heard the same thing from other coaches and other athletes. Doing mace, doing clubs with kettlebell work, it is such a great combination
Oh
for
yeah.
mobility, flexibility, and strength.
Yeah. My plan is going into London. I'm gonna keep a certain amount of Mason, like because I'm working on some combos right now, but it's probably gonna be like I mean, I may even compete in one of those online competitions with the Russians. I think they're doing one. In fact, I need to sign up for it here in the next week or two if I'm going to do it. I may do that here in the next month or so.
Okay.
Really like the big one's obviously going to be the World Games in person, London. And so I'm probably going to really start to hit hard on training around like July, August, like really getting a program together, which I feel better about now that I've gone through the whole creation progress process on my own. But yeah, I'm totally gonna keep maces and clubs as a part of that to keep the strength and the balance from both sides. So if you want to do, I'm happy to even take you through like a free call like this, a Zoom call or something, and at least show you some things. You really just need 360s and 10 and 2s. You can do all the flow, and that's great. I think flow is awesome. I think there's a lot of good movements you can do outside of that. But dude, 10 and 2s and 360s are money. That's you just need to like use a lightweight like a 10-pound mace, 10, 15-pound club, do two-hand stuff. Eventually, you'll get confident in the single arm. And I mean, even if you got like a 7-pound mace, I just on it is going out of business with their not totally, but with they're stopping all the fitness stuff. So I don't know if you heard that.
Really?
Yeah, they announced that like a few weeks ago, and I went and hopped on their website. I tried to buy some 10 and 15 pound maces, but they were all sold out. So they still had some 20, a few quad maces, and some 7 pound maces. So I bought a bunch of maces as well. So that way, A, I could have old school on it stuff because maybe who knows, it could be valuable over time. But also, like, if I need to use a 7 pound mace for like somebody starting out or a lady or something like that, I'll totally, use that for that purpose. But happy to take you on a call if you want to and show you just some really good basics to work through. Because those are the two most important. If you did those to supplement your kettlebell work, I think you'll build a lot of strength in your shoulders and your range of motion, all that. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great because it, trying to be smart about the training and what to do now that I experienced that, the competition setting of like creating the routine and nailing the movements. And because the routine I did in Arizona, that was supposed to be for New York, but again, I ended up not going to New York. So I like saved it, and with everything that I had going on, I didn't know that I was going to compete in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. Just see what happens, and just have fun, right? So now that I've experienced that, it's like, okay, let's really dial in into mastering the basics. Really, yeah, getting creative with the combos to
Mm-hmm.
look good and fancy and all that other stuff, and like the what's the word, complexity and stuff like that of the combos, but really just be really good at it. Just like make the those triples, make them as easy as make a simple look,
Mm-hmm.
and just get really really comfortable with a heavier weight. That's one of
Yeah.
my goals, and I know that that's I have to really build up to it, train with it, but also I'm a small guy, and it does take a lot to throw a 16 kilo
Yeah.
kettlebell. It takes a lot. So I do want to put on some mass, really just what they call it bulletproof shoulders, right? And then
Mhm.
just throw some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even stuff like one of the things I did wrong is that, or I did wrong, but I'm gonna do differently this time, is I'm gonna start doing all my statics with my left arm. So
Okay.
I was doing right arm static and primary throws with the right, and that totally offset it. So ever since then, I've really been working statics with the left arm, working the maze with the left arm, and I just feel so much better and more confident. So it's been a really good learning curve for sure. And anyhow, you'll get to the point where you feel really good about it. If you want, I could even send you the program that I did in New York, so you have something to play with and kind of study there if you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So what what did you place in New York?
Well, I got second overall, um, but uh, but yeah, I mean, I didn't the event that I did the worst in was classic.
Really?
Yeah, and there was a lot of people competing. Like New York probably had double the amount. I mean, the World Games are just so much bigger. So there was all these international competitors, as you know, and we had a few at the NACJO, but it was mostly like people from Europe as well were there. And I mean, I was in the same category as like Sasha Prodowek, whatever his Instagram is, his real name.
Yeah.
From Poland. He's got to be the number one in the world on classic outside of Russia. And I was with Justin. I think Elisha was in that weight class, Carlos. So I didn't do. I think I was like right near the bottom of everybody's because I also dropped it once in that program and totally forgot a throw while in the middle of it. And that was my first time doing classic, but I got second overall in that competition. I think Sean Pierce got first. So yeah, that's how it happened. In fact, I was kind of laughing because you missed the second day at the NACJO, and there was a couple of awards you got. Like one with John, you guys got third place in and that was so cool that you guys put that together. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was surprised too to to see that because again, I just showed up and was like, I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah.
This is a learning experience for me, and to just to yeah, I wanted to meet everybody and like just see you guys perform live. It's completely different than seeing a video because you
Yeah.
watch a video and you're like, wow, that's you say, oh, that's cool. How is he doing that? How is she doing that? And then you see it in real life, and it's like you guys are out of this world, dude. Like you, Beto, Sean, like you guys' stuff is like not only the complexity of it, right? The level of difficulty that you guys are able to put together, but
Hmm.
you guys, and of course, that takes time and training and then just lots of drilling those combos. But sometimes you guys make it look effortless. And again, I know that comes with a lot of time and a lot of experience. And I know I see it on you guys' videos and stuff that you guys post. And I know that 20-second video took 30 minutes of practice or even longer sometimes because
Yeah.
you're like drilling on something to get it right, to get it perfect, and to make it and to be efficient at it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was pretty pleased with myself that first of all I was more happy than nothing hurt, and then when I saw that I was in the podium, but then my name was on the podium, I'm like, oh, look at that, that's kind of cool. um,
Awesome.
yeah, but I was the one event that I wanted to do really bad was the half marathon.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That'd have been a good to try. Is a really, really good competition. It's one that's easy for people to start out in, um, that they can just do without any former experience or anything like that. In fact, I think we had a few people that came. I want to say Deshaun, I don't know his last name, Kittle or something like that. Uh, that was his second competition to attend, but I don't think he had competed in anything up to that point. I don't even think he was planning on it, but decided to go ahead and jump in for the marathon, and we had a few guys do that, and which was really cool. And did really well. I think he actually ended up getting on the board and like, maybe even a top 10 or something like that over the world just from starting one time and kind of getting thrown into it. So that's a really good one. It's both stamina, endurance, talking about grips, hand grip, things like that. You have to really pay attention. So as I noticed I was doing it now for my second competition, this time I really hit a flow where in the beginning I was using grip strength, and then
right.
as it was going along, eventually your grip strength wears out, and you have to just use your posture. The four fingers will wear out, and then you can just use your thumb to keep pushing it. So that's kind of what I keyed into. It also helped that I had a counter who was like rooting for me and telling me, Jared, you're at this point, you're at this point. That was actually super helpful because then I could know like how far off I was, or if I was gonna beat my record from last time, and it turned out being really good. And so, I was fortunate to win that competition this year, and that was actually, I think, my first gold in any of the specific events. So, and that helped me to end up tying Beto and Sean for first overall at the event.
So doing training for a marathon, half marathon, do you have like a set number of reps that you want to hit per minute, or like how do you train for that one?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because in marathon, you really like they put it as the last event because it's grueling and it's going to wear your hands out and wear your grip out and probably provide blisters. At both times I've done it, I had mad blisters at the end of it. This one was not as bad. It was much worse for the first time I did it back in October in New York. To train for it, you probably like if you want to do the whole thing, you can. I would just recommend doing it like probably a month or so before the competition because you want to make sure your hands will heal and give your
Right.
body enough time to keep training for the other events and stuff. So, we still got quite a bit of time before London, late October. So you could do it, anytime in the next few months and just kind of see where you're at with the 16 kg. To get to a point where you will likely get a medal, which there's only three places, first, second, and third, get a medal. You probably have to get somewhere close to 1200, maybe like 1150, 1160, in order to get in order to place, but it's really you just want to do as good as you can. And it's a good, I mean, it's just an awesome competition. So, and one that is just a good personal test to see where you are, your stamina, your strength. So the way that I trained for it this last time is I would just, before I started practicing like for classic or freestyle or anything else, I would warm up by doing about 10 minutes of just reverse flips. That was a great warm up, and it was a great way for me to just find some semblance of pace that I was able to carry over to the competition.
Yeah, yeah. So at NACJO during during the workshops, because you did the first one with the ropes, so you have universal float, right? How long has that been going on?
Well, it's something that started early on in my time with all these unconventional tools. In fact, I would say the mace is what really started me out with all this. And um, in the beginning, and as I kind of talked about in that workshop, one of the first things I learned was cardinal directions and making really sharp turns. That is what's going to help you to continue to perpetuate movement as you're working with any tool, regardless of whether it's a rope, mace, club, kettlebell, hydrocore, sand flail, whatever the tool is. So that way you can actually flow. Flow is really just perpetuating motion, um, usually in ways that are creative, although you could even just do a single drill with a few planes. Most of the movement falls on frontal plane and sagittal. I usually say about something like, what is it? Maybe 50% of the movement's going to be on the frontal plane, 40% is going to be sagittal, and probably 10% or less is going to be transverse when it comes to those kinds of things in terms of true transverse plane movements. So my system is basically universal flow, which is just basically perpetuating movement um, along the lines of three key tenets, which are posture, gravity, and momentum. You've got to maintain tall posture, and that's also how you can know that you're doing something correctly or efficiently, because when
Okay.
when your posture is clean, when you're standing upright, as things are moving around you, you're going to notice if you're bending over, as things are, as you have the tool moving past your legs or your arms or your shoulders, what have you. So it's basically posture, gravity, momentum, helping you to draw big circles and little circles with low swings and high swings. Okay. And ultimately following those three primary planes of frontal, sagittal, and transverse. And so it's really those two, frontal and sagittal, where you're going to figure out most of the work as you're getting through it. So I teach, like, for example, hip hinge swing is a really great way, whether it's with a kettlebell or a mace or even ropes. It's going to help you to start to begin to understand the low and the high because the tool is going to come down. You're going to use your posture, standing nice and tall, but still bending over to create the movement. And as it comes up and the tools are floating upward, can also happen on the way down. But as the tools are floating upward, that makes an easy transition. Kind of like how in your kettlebell swing, when you swing and the tool comes up to your midsection, it kind of hangs there for a sec, weightless. We call that float or suspension. And it's at that point if you orient your body, if you just turn 90 degrees, for example, then you can pull it down and it will go, for example, on the frontal plane. So if you're in a sagittal plane and it's going down by your sides, the tool comes up, turn, and then the tool is going to go down by your side in front of you or behind you. And that's how you can start to get a grasp of how to flow because all you're really doing is just making a sharp turn and allowing for a new channel of movement to begin from there. And then you figure out how to transition hands, how to do low swings by your side and by your hips, high swings that'll either go over your head or straight over the top. And once you start learning that and you start paying attention to the momentum of the tool, you can let the tool inform your next decision of where you want to go with it.
Yeah, that's one thing that we talked about, that I talked to everybody, that the progression of the workshops from the your first workshop with the rope going all the way to the last one at the end with Sean, like the progression was perfect because it set everybody for success.
Mhm.
So whoever did the order of workshops did a great job. And of course, you guys are being such a great instructors, and again, cueing people, and because everybody needs to be, has to be taught a little bit different so that they can get it right because we process things differently, right? But yeah, starting with that, I think was a great foundation, especially for those who never touched a kettlebell. There was a bunch of people that never like did a flip. That was the first time. So to have a bunch of people do a synchronized routine at the end when we see that
Right.
aerial, it was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I keep telling people, you guys, all the workshops were phenomenal. Coaching was great. I learned so much, like just
Mhm.
like little things that I heard from one coach, from you, from Beto, from Tomas. Like, okay, just do this or try this, or it makes such a huge difference
Mhm.
on landing that static or creating going to a double, or like you mentioned, doing those sharp turns at the right time because the weight is a certain spot, a certain place that allows you to make that turn so you can go into the next element.
Mhm.
So you guys did awesome. I learned so much. I learned so much. So I was talking when I was talking to uh to D and Jamie. Yeah,
Des for who? James?
Jamie. No, owners are of Iron Roots. Uh,
Oh, Julie.
Julie. I don't know if it's Jamie. I was like, I asked him, like, do you think we're gonna have workshops in the future on the next World Games or on the next, open competition? Because I think it's a great stuff for people that to know the sport, to learn it, to get more information behind it. Because just showing up to a competition might be a little scary, for somebody who's new. Like, oh, what is this? But having those workshops, I think it attracted more people.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know.
I think, I mean, one of the biggest aspects to what we're doing is that it's great that we have competitions. That's kind of the first step because it gives us all a reason to come together and we are all practicing the same sport. But one of the more difficult aspects is learning everything. And that's not just learning how to flip a kettlebell. And that's not even just learning how to do a combo. It's learning all of the rules that go into it. Everything from classic to even strategy around freestyle. Because freestyle is great. You can just jump into it, do your best, see what comes of it. But inevitably there's strategy that's forming around how it is that you can compete in a way that'll give you the best chance to potentially advance. And because it's just that's probably the one competition we have that's just a regular tournament style bracket format, where you get two chances, the other guy gets two chances, and whoever the judges think wins advances to the next round. That's it, until the third place match is the only one where there's really like double elimination. So, there's even stuff like that I think is important for people to understand, especially because there's a lot of folks out there that do kettlebell juggling and they're, throwing the bell around their backyard, and that's great. And they need to do that. People need to explore. They need to get a feel for what they like. I mean, they need to just see see if there's something they want to do, see if they enjoy it. But ideally, the workshops will play a role in the future to continue educating folks. So that way, if somebody comes to a competition they don't have to compete, but they can do the workshops, and then maybe down the road in a competition or two, they can actually find some events that they want to participate in. So, and again, that's been a whole learning process for me too. Classic is probably the most complicated of all, just because there you can't repeat elements, and you have to throw
Right.
together combos, and each element has a certain amount of points that are associated with it. So it's not like you can just wing it. You've really gotta plan something out. And I found a lot of satisfaction in that. In the beginning, I was much more like a freestyle juggler, and I think that's what most people are until
Yeah.
in sport. But it's when start you start getting into classic that I think you grow a love and a satisfaction for the kind of puzzle that you can make for yourself, because it's all based on your strengths and weaknesses and seeing what you can do to get the most points together such that you're not leaving anything off the table. Like you're putting the points up that you can at the highest level, but not pushing yourself too far where once the lights are on and people are watching and it's time to go, that you can't perform it very well.
Yeah. Yeah. That was Natural was my first competition, and I was the last on amateur to perform. So the I felt like walking into the floor, I felt kind of calm. And then the moment the music started, I was just like, I forgot everything that I was supposed to do. And I was like, okay, now just count till 10 and just go. And
Yeah.
it did work. Like I was able to like clear my mind and do do the routine. Drop the ones, forgot one of the a double static, I think, a double form static that I forgot. But I do agree with what you're saying. There is that level of satisfaction too on creating something on your own, doing it so many times until it becomes you're not thinking about it. It's just you know what's coming next. You know what's coming next. Uh,
Mhm.
and also that too, the not overdoing it, where it's so I guess you can say use the word complicated or like it's too much that lights on, you're in front of people, and now you have to perform, and it's your first time. Nerves kick in, and then like, what do I do next? What's next? And you got people watching you. Even though there is a huge level of excitement in that room, because people are
Mhm.
cheering you on. People want you to do the best that you can,
Right.
and that was something that I enjoy so much, like the level of support and excitement and just people cheering for you. And it's just like you finish and everybody just came up and just like high five, hug, and like you know I made a joke with somebody that every time I got a hug from somebody I disappear because I'm so small, you know. uh, but it's definitely it's an awesome feeling, when
Yeah.
when you nail that combo and then you got your routine down. Um, and even I don't know. For me, this is just my personal experience, but finishing up that routine, on amateur was like not so much like I can check that of the like I did it, but it was just so satisfying to be able to show the work that you've been putting it on for
Yes.
months. Not yes to show off, but like this is what I've been doing. This is what all we've been doing for so long, and we're here now. So let's give it our best,
Yeah.
you know. And yeah, I started with freestyle too, just kind of like throwing the kettlebell because I saw Colin was the first one I saw juggling, and he is just an animal on
Mhm.
freestyle. Uh, Almost unreal of the stuff that he does, right? And that's kind of how it all started for me. And then met Carlos online, and I'm like, oh, there's classic. What is this all about? And it is the transition to go from classic to from freestyle to classic. You have to slow down.
Yeah.
You have to like there's like a level of patience that you have to develop, right? Because if you just go out the gate 100%, there's a higher chance of failing. There's a higher chance of dropping the kettlebell, of not doing your statics correct, or even forgetting an element. So one thing that I learned from Tomas on the workshop was to slow down, because I tend to like just kind of go too fast and get it done, and that has helped me a lot lately. Just to like even do more statics, and just like, okay, kind of take your time, breathe, 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 and then go.
Mhm.
It's helped me a lot. It's helped me a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, my first time, like I said, doing classic in New York, I didn't really, and I really don't train classic often with music because I'm just focusing on getting the combo down. And so this time I did a little bit better in terms of being used to the music that well, because what I did in New York is I threw some music together, and I in my mind go straight to moving on the beat, but you really can't do that with classic.
Yeah.
Have to do the throws that you've got planned ahead. So my very first throw, uh, I think I missed one after my second throw, I missed it. I just totally skipped it and went to the third element. So, and that was just because I had a brain fart because kind of like you, got a little excited, but the music just took my head to a different place. I decided to go on the beat versus like, just go ahead and take my time, make sure I had the order of things right. So now, like this last time, I picked a couple songs that I could just have in the background and not worry about and just do focus on doing my program. I don't care about the beat. It's hard because with flow and with freestyle and stuff, it's opposite. The more that you can have a synchronicity between your movement, especially if there's music involved, I think that that makes for a more satisfying experience, not only for the juggler, but especially the spectator.
Right. Yeah. So after Nacho, coming back home and getting back into the rhythm of training and working out and this and that. Like, what are you doing to? Because you mentioned you're doing workshops, free stuff for people, showing them, how to do stuff. Um, like to attract more people. What else are you doing besides these workshops? Like, are you at a gym right now on your own, or how do you, or just out? Like, because I know you do a lot of stuff outside, right?
Yeah, so I do have, there's a gym. I'm very blessed. So this last training segment before the NAC Joe, it was cold. Like I know it gets cold there in North Carolina, and you really can't train outside in a lot of that time of year. So the spring event will probably always be harder because you don't have as much of an opportunity to train outdoors because it just gets so cold, regardless of whether it rains, snows, sleets, anything in between. It gets so cold, your fingers get numb. And that's no bueno, not good. So. I had to go indoors to train a lot for that one. And that makes sense a lot anyways, because when we compete indoors on a gym.
Right.
So there was some significant benefits to that without a doubt. But when I had to go indoors, I found a gym, local gym called CrossFit Nashville, not to be confused with, there's a lot of variations of like CrossFit West Nashville, CrossFit East Nashville. This one is just CrossFit Nashville. I guess it's an OG in an area of Nashville called the Nations, and they were just super awesome, super welcoming. I just bought an open gym membership to train in their open gym hours, but eventually they were able to give me an all access pass. And so that was even another awesome level because then I could go after hours at nights on weekends when they weren't having classes. I could put on music, I could prepare my programs that way. So that was super helpful without a doubt. And even right now, there's still lots of discussions to be had, but we're in talks to potentially bring the next Knack Joe to Nashville
Ooh.
at the gym. So it may or may not land there, but they've just been so receptive and so gracious, and it's just been a pleasure working out there and training there. So that's been really good as far as like my personal training. Of course, I love to go outside and train outside as much as I can as well, especially when it's nice, sun's out, things like that. So I take advantage of that. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing basically my kettlebell team juggling practices because that's probably the big thing is I really, in addition to potentially hosting an knack Joe, I would like to have a really good community of jugglers here, not just people doing backyard juggling on their own for Instagram, but ideally working towards competing in the sport, or at the very least, understanding the sport. So that way they're focusing their training and their juggling around it, which I think if we can get more people to do that, not only will competing be more appealing, but I think we'll level up a lot of people from a general sense. So that's probably the big thing right now. I typically enjoy still having a couple of clients that I can train online. I've got somebody in the UK that I've been training now for almost a year, or for right around a year now. And that's been really awesome, seeing her develop. And ideally she'll be at the World Games in November. But outside of that, that's pretty much it. I'm still, I'm developing my YouTube channel. It's where I post both I just literally post the sessions from my kettlebell team workouts, put them on there. It's just unedited. The audio is not great, but I just throw it up there for whoever wants to see it. I do some universal flow concept stuff where I'll just be me and a camera teaching stuff from my system on there. But that's pretty much the gist of it. And, among the other things, I'm just trying to fill out in my life on a personal level. Uh, but that's pretty much where it is. And my, ideally, the big thing is if I can get some people here in Nashville engaged, I think that would just be super cool to have like a team of jugglers here. So that's a big focus for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat too. Like came back from Arizona and I was still fired up about it, because we did a lot in those 4 days. And I can imagine what would happen in a week of us, being around each other, learning, and just, because the feedback was amazing from everybody that I talked. It was like, I learned so much. Like, we need to do this more often. And I know that we come from different parts of the country and it's hard. But came back and I'm like, okay, what can I do to get more people to just to try it? Even if they don't love it like we do, right? Because I guess it takes a special kind of person to love the sport and to get into it. Leticia said we are a special kind of bunch of people. We kind of are, but I feel like I tell people just try. Let me know what you think. Give me your feedback. It's kind of like like other fitness disciplines. You have to try it in order to see if you're gonna like it or not, or even if it's something that you need in your training or for towards your goals, right? So right now, I did a workshop last weekend. I got a few people to do their first flip, and the excitement in their face when they get their first one. It's a pretty priceless reaction to see you get their first flip. So like I want to continue doing that too, just like you do, and just put stuff out there, content, whether it's teaching something or the combo of the day, and I need to get better at the coaching part, like on delivering the information a way that is understandable. And I know sometimes my English and Spanish kind of gets mixed up, and then he's like, "Whoa, what did you say, dude? Please repeat that again." And just keep putting stuff out there, because just like you want to grow that community, want to have more people doing this, and get into a point where they want to compete and they want to experience that, and leveling them up to a point where more and more of us can get together and continue learning, from each other. And I do, going back to me getting a coach, I want to do that because I want to make sure that I'm coaching the stuff the right way, because I can do it. And the stuff that I've learned on my own is from watching you guys and like downloading the video and then slowing it down and kind of seeing what you guys doing with your body.
A good note.
Or even when I'm trying to like copy something, it's like, let me download the video and slow it down and just like break it down and see what they're doing. Even though there's so much to it, like, when it comes to like a combination of stuff, because, and again, you guys did an amazing job on the workshops. The coaching part was just so good that we were able to, everybody leveled up.
Right.
Everybody did. I think everybody did. And I think everybody could agree with me that we all learned not more than one thing.
Mm-hmm.
because you know, yeah,
No, I mean, I think that's super special. And in fact, that's as you say that. Number one, I'll reiterate that for folks that don't do this, I would super recommend it. I mean, even I do this. If I see something out there that that piques my interest or that I want to see deeper or, just slow down, I've got a repost app that I use on occasion. If there's somebody out there that does something interesting, I'll copy it and then slow it down so I can just go frame by frame and watch it. But so that's a super good tool to use, especially with what we're doing here with kettlebell juggling. But with regards to growing and coaching, another thing worth mentioning is that here at the NAC Joe, or I'm sorry, after the NAC Joe, a few of us have gotten together, Justin, Dee and Julie, the Sorensens, the New York crew with the Wolf Pack. We've all gotten together to discuss kind of the future of how we can grow the sport of kettlebell juggling in the US. Because the US
yeah,
is such a huge market, and there's got to be more people out there like us that see this and want to get into it. But so we're talking about things like certifications, coaching, how to have events, whether it's online and or in person, where we can get together that's not directly related to a competition specifically, that really gives people an opportunity to understand the sport, sink their teeth into it, because it can be daunting jumping right into a competition or going to a competition when you know you're not competing, and it's like, I mean, it's still good for people to do, but not everybody's just got the expendable funds to be able to go and fly halfway across the country or the world to go to a competition. So there's a lot of elements there that are hurdles that we're trying to get past, but our goal is to get to a point where we have a engine running here of people that are going through certifications, where we have coaches, even things to grow the spectator side of it, because we also know that, like you say, I mean, it's interesting to watch. I mean, I'll just tell you that Saturday night after the first night of the competition, we went to this restaurant there in Fountain Hills, Arizona, and literally, as we were all sitting down eating, we just got done throwing kettlebells, doing all this crazy, awesome stuff. We're looking on the screen, and there's two TVs. Both of them have ESPN The Ocho on. One's got Spike Ball, which is like that lawn game where you throw the ball throw into a net. There's four people that play. Fun game, nothing issue with it, but that's on ESPN, like the championships of that. And then next to it was, I kid you not, professional pillow fighting, and like they were in like a wrestling style ring knocking each other out with pillows, and like these like grown men doing this, and it could have been a joke, who knows, it could have just been like something they did in Vegas and people just signed up and then did it because maybe it was interesting for TV. But we're all sitting here like, dude, we're throwing around 12 kg, 16 kg, 26, 35 pound plus weights, and in real time in combos with style and with grace and strength, and none of this is making it yet to any bigger stage, and it's just like a shame because it's like, dude, this has got to get out there somehow. So
yeah. That's exactly what I've heard from clients that they're doing it right now with me, and they are not. Like, this is pretty unique what you're doing. They're like unique and dangerous. Watch your head, right? Uh, and which is very true. And I love what you guys are doing to putting together those, certifications and online classes to get people the right information, the right coaching, you know, to be able to see, to level up and see the growth, on the community nationwide. Because, like you mentioned, there's so many people out there that might be doing some stuff, on their own because they saw somebody online or their coach or whatever. There's a lot of, I think Carlos calls it fancy juggling, right?
yeah.
Which is kind of like freestyle too. Uh, and then you see them trying to do something classical, and it doesn't really translate because, again, they haven't been taught the steps. They haven't been
Right.
taught the how to do certain things. So I think that's great, and I think, like, whenever that goes, sign me up. I'll be like the first one with
Uh-huh.
all of it because, again, like, I want to continue that learning process to level up my game so I can help other people. And also to like I said, to give out the right information out there, and people can understand, have a better understanding of what we're doing. It's fun. We started as, this is, it's fun, and I can add it to my training. Now we're competing. Now we're getting more serious about it, but it's still fun. We're still enjoying it.
Oh
So
yeah.
so showing that to people, I think that's going to be key too, to see that this is, we're having so much fun doing this, and we want people to do it. We want people to experience it too, and then keep growing that, and then having to rent a huge place because we have so many people doing this will be just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super important, and giving them an opportunity to experience it with, in a less stressful situation where they get to connect with the coaches. I mean, I've got a call actually with a company tomorrow that works with influencers on whatever their thing is, if it's yoga or some kind of fitness or what have you, where people can go to a destination vacation basically, but then it can be centered around whatever that thing is. So I thought it'd be really cool. Like, man, how cool would it be to like go to Costa Rica, go somewhere like that, where we can all get together and, people can, we would provide them a kettlebell that they can take home. We would teach them things there. We get to hang out and of course do other things like go hike and go to a waterfall or go to the beach or something. And that way we get a chance to interact on a more just low key, casual level. And that I think will bring out a lot of growth and experience. And it would just be cool for people to see like what that would look like. I've got some vision for that and really hope to see some of that come to fruition. So we'll see what happens in the next year or so on some of that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And again, since the day when I started following you, and I was like, oh, he's not that far away. Maybe one day I can go and see him, and maybe he can teach me a thing or two. And it took this long to meet in Arizona. Uh, but you're doing awesome and amazing stuff over there, man. I love watching your stuff. The Again with your mace work and clubs and your rope, you're very I say poetic, because again you're very good with your movement, and it's something that I want to learn, and also teach. So I will take you up on your teaching me some stuff because I need it. Maybe that will help me fix my shoulders, right?
Yeah.
But I think we're doing amazing. You guys doing amazing. I'm in the background. I'm just
Oh, you're doing it
getting
too.
it. And we gotta, like I told Justin, we gotta keep this going. This open communication of like, I'm doing this. What are you doing? Maybe I can implement what you're doing over here. What you're doing in Nashville, I can do it in Asheville. I know even though it's different demographic, but kind of like help each other with ideas, like, and brainstorm about like, all right, just host local events or workshops, to get more people interested, or even just to try.
Yeah.
Because the yeah, I feel like we just gotta keep it moving, uh, and just keep showing people what we do. Keep putting content out there, even though it takes time, it takes energy, but eventually will pay off.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight. And there's a lot to learn, but everybody that's doing this knows that they've got gold in their hands.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
just we can keep sharing it. I know there's a lot of people that want to do it without a doubt.
yeah. But yeah, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. I wish I can talk for another hour with you, but I gotta head to class. But thank you, man. Thank you for sharing your journey, what you've been doing. It was awesome meeting you and seeing you perform. Again, learned so much from you. I have a rope now, and I need to get a lighter club, a lighter mace, so I can
Mhm.
get started. But you're doing an awesome job, man. Thanks so much for all you do.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that I can do to help, sharing stuff and whatnot, I'm here to help. Okay, I think we're doing something amazing. It will grow. I know it will. We all spread out, but I think eventually it's gonna get bigger. It will get bigger.
100%. We just gotta keep going, dude. So you're doing great, and you're inspiring a lot of others that are thinking about getting into it, perhaps apprehensive. Another thing, if I end up with anything, it's for all the people out there that are considering it, that are thinking about it, that are going, "Oh, I'll never be that good." Stop. Don't do that. Because if you share something, a part of your journey that inspires so many people to say, "Yeah, I can do that too," and it's not going to look perfect day one, and it will not. That's okay. There's a sausage making process to creating the sausage. So, but once you do, it can taste pretty good. In our case, it can be pretty awesome. So, anyhow, keep going, dude, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for your time. Love what you're doing. If you're ever in Nashville, come by. You have a home here. Thank you for jumping in. And yeah, man, let's do this again.
For sure. I'd love to. Thank you, Luis. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
See you. Bye.
See you.